Tefrogzor. Shiana, the Frogzor.
Hi guys,
Not
and
you.
welcome to the Voice of Terminus. This is Joshua showing another amateur hour while Yanilla is away. I hope everybody can hear us. And today we don't have MonsterKoala in. We have Grumpy.
Grumpy TV.
Yay!
What's going on, everybody?
Welcome, Grumpy. Glad you could jump in literally the 13th hour over here. Unfortunately,
See, I'm the
MonsterKoala.
champion, huh?
Yeah,
You rock. You definitely
Koala
rock.
could not join us, unfortunately. He's obviously got some technical difficulties on his side, and very glad you could help us tonight. Thank you.
Well, it's a perfect example of a pug. I'm your pickup guy for the night.
Brilliant.
Exactly.
Ta-da! I'll be over here
Hooray!
farting in the corner. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo.
Woohoo! So yeah, brilliant stuff. I think everybody's probably still quite on a high after watching the stream the other night with our man of the hour, Lexa, and Yanilla Toe there. And Lexa, you did a wonderful job in keeping the Voice of Terminus floating that night. So well done. It was brilliant. So maybe talk us a little bit through your experience on that evening and how you found it before we go into the questions.
Well, I feel like I didn't play to my full potential because I was running on 3 hours sleep, and the stream didn't even start till 11 p.m. my time. So I was tired. But I mean, everybody that was involved, Martini, Sacred, Bazgrim, Nick Hotz, Yarn, myself, besides myself, everybody did a very, very respectable job. I'm very proud of them. We worked pretty well together. It was literally the first time that any of us, besides Yarn and myself, had ever played together. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy the way Pantheon is coming. There's obviously, as everyone can see, a lot still to go.
Yeah.
But Pantheon is a very, very large project. You know, even large amounts of progress is going to appear small in the grand scheme of things. But where it stands right now, with what we have and where it is in development, you'd have to try really hard to make me any happier.
Yeah, brilliant. And that was what, pre-alpha, right? We were watching it, that you're playing in.
Yes.
And
It was actually during a pre-alpha session.
Okay, brilliant. And Grumpy, from your point of view, did you were just watching, right? And how did you enjoy it?
I liked it. It's nice to be able to see the world kind of start to take that shape where we're recognizing certain points. You know, like back in the day, we had those. We would know if we were looking at the Maw of Blackborough. We would know if we were looking at Calathon. You know, so it's nice to kind of start seeing the familiarities of, like, I remember that. I'm going to be there one day. I'm going to be checking that out, and I want to see what's behind that door, and I want to see what that guy drops. You know,
Oh yeah.
that's kind of a cool moment that kind of gets me really wanting to play this, wanting to try it. And I'm unfortunately not able to get into the pre-alpha yet, so I've just been enjoying it as a fan on the outside. You know, I've got three young sons, so you know. Can't quite get into that stage of support, but you know, when it gets a little bit lower or ready for beta, I'm there. I'm so looking forward to it.
Okay, so you're going to start your own little group with your sons, or they're too young to get it?
My oldest son is 8, and my middle son's 7, and they're perfect right there. So we're actually starting to run our first Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, and they're starting to really get interested in those kind of worlds. So they watch Dad playing various games, and they're like, "Dad, how do I do that? And how did you get there?" And you know, they're connecting with me as a gamer. So it's kind of cool.
Excellent, brilliant.
Yeah.
Guys,
that's in my eyes, that's good parenting right there. Get them hooked young.
That's right.
Exactly, hook 'em young. If there's anybody out there that wants to ask any questions about the stream, directed at Lex, I'm sure he'll be happy after the questions to answer those questions. So please throw anything his way.
Yep, just make sure that you tag our one and only Frogzor.
Yeah, exactly that. Right, so let's kick off. Easy question to start. Tank, healer, DPS, or melee? Which is your preference?
I'm gonna go with tank.
Yeah, my man.
Always been, my EQ character was a half-elf paladin. He was the tank. And then every other MMO, it was just like, okay, how can I match that feeling? How can I be the man at the front? I want to protect my group, keep them good, wait for the evac, we're there. And that was always it. Paladin.
Paladin, right?
Yep,
Okay.
paladin.
So, with the race that you have already mentioned, do you think that character size or height should actually matter in an MMO?
It depends on how the MMO is structured. If it's going for traditional rule sets, like we're going for classic D&D or Tolkien-esque rule sets, then yeah, there should be restrictions. There could be, there's always been kind of that you cannot be a troll paladin and you can't be an ogre paladin. But if it's some of the newer MMOs, they're just looking for that quick fun in and out, let's go. So everybody can be everything. So I kind of like it where you kind of like, that's special. Paladin can only be this guy, or this, this gal. It's a special kind of world for them. And all characters, they fill a role, a real niche.
Do you think from that point of view, though, do you think that maybe the smaller you are, the less damage you should do? And do you think they should keep it logical that way? Games?
I think big things come in small packages. I've seen some pretty powerful gnomes in my day.
Well, what would you say if I told you there was an MMO where smaller characters, they didn't hit as hard in melee, but they swung faster versus a big character who swung slower but had bigger numbers?
I mean, the physics involved work, and it's kind of a cool concept then. That it would be kind of a cool concept. I would definitely be excited to try something like that.
Yeah, it just kind of popped in my head, and I'm like, you know what? I think that could be kind of neat to play with.
Oh yeah, like you're so small, you're harder to hit. You
could get
smaller
a bonus,
areas under
bonus
doors
to your evasion skills. Whereas bigger, it's like a sumo wrestler. If I were to punch a sumo wrestler, pretty sure he's barely going to feel it.
Right? You're going to feel it in a second, but
yeah, they're
going to laugh.
Swat me like a fly.
Right.
But he's got to catch you first.
That's true, and trust me, I run faster scared than you can angry.
Yep.
So, adding on to the size and height situation, does it matter what gender you play? And if so, what is your preference in game?
No, I play both. It depends on the character too. If I'm playing like a very specific character, I've designed that character. So be it a male or female, it depends on who that character was when I created them. My old EQ paladin, his name is Shora, and he's, I take the name from the Mist world, it means peace. I thought it'd be cool to be a paladin named Peace. And he was always male. And then I had, an enchantress named Vivian, and it was just the character was built as a female. So,
nice.
And yeah, I like doing both. It's the RP that you're doing for that character, and I like role playing. I've always liked, even in other MMOs that don't really push it, we found ways of putting it there so we can have an adventure again, because I miss that adventure.
But does that come from the Dungeons and Dragons background, where pen and paper stuff, where you used to roll your characters in that way, or
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, it's always something you just kind of sit there and think about. It's like, okay, Shora is this guy. He's, the little brother and always on the adventure, and he's always got these things going on in his world. So that was kind of me at that point in my life. I was younger. I was playing EverQuest, and, I was just starting college. My dad was getting sick, and, right around the corner, he passed away. So EQ was like my outlet. Yeah. And I got to, I was playing EQ when my dad died when I found out. And I got to, so I told one person. And that night, 150 messages came to me. Just from, they told one guy, they told one, and the whole server just were like, "Hey, man, can we just go hang out?" And I was like, "Oh my god, yeah! Like, I need to talk to somebody because I had nobody." So it was, it helped keep me sane. It helped keep my life, kind of together during what was really sucky. And just like, I had to rebuild my whole life, and then you get married, you have kids, and everything's cool. And now it's like, I want to go back to that adventure, though. I want to know that guy in the server, and I know that guild leader, and that guy's that nice guy that sold me the banded armor, and that guy's the nice guy that gave me that buff that one time. Like, I remember those people, and I still remember their names today.
That's
and
incredible.
I miss them. I miss them. And I miss that.
But it just goes to show, and I'll say this right now. Look at the community back in EverQuest versus communities now in today's MMOs. Chalk and cheese. Yeah. You'll never find similar communities.
Not even close. It's not even close. Like, I tried playing the new World of Warcraft expansion. And just because, it's like, I tried the newer expansions of all the games, and I stay with them when the expansion comes out, and then I go back and I go play something else. And it's not, like, I don't know anybody in that server. I've played on it for years. I don't know anybody. There's not, I don't remember, that's that one guy. That doesn't exist.
Right.
It's all meshed together and made into a package that you can sell. It's like, oh, this is fun. Instead of, hey, that was that adventure I went on. That guy was amazing that night. That was cool. We got that one drop, and it was, I still remember those stories today. I don't remember anything that's ever happened in World of Warcraft or any of the other MMOs that have done that. Like, I didn't have adventures. It's just like, oh, okay, I got to the level I did.
It's actually interesting to think that while, every community has its toxic elements, you almost have to wonder if there's something about the game itself that promotes it. That toxic behavior.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, I mean, there has been expansions that came up for a while that I've been tempted to go back. Mm-hmm. And the one time I did go back, it was basically you were welcomed by a kick to the groin. And it was just like, well, that was a waste of money. Let's get that refunded.
Oh yeah. Whereas it's like YouTube comments, the live game. It really is, because you're just a name. Your name doesn't mean anything. So you could be,
the sad thing is, most of the comments don't mean anything either.
No.
But the best part is
you feel it.
Best part is it. Even when you thumbs down or when you make a nasty comment, you're improving that person's rating. So it's like, I don't know. I think the joke's on them. But we'll get back on track here a little bit. When you're making a character in an MMO, what class and race are you typically drawn to when it comes time to select your character?
So I'm trying to build a character out of them. So I'm looking for, like with Grumpy. Grumpy is a dwarf, of course, but he hates his name because his background is he was raised by two feuding families, and his last name is Old Men. And he hates that, and the father named him Grumpy because they thought it'd be hilarious, and it was a joke on so there's like there's a background story to it that's kind of long-winded, but it's funny, and he's just a grumpy dude, and he's very nice, very looking for to take care of his kin and hearth and family and all that. That's the type he is. So when I'm looking for a character to build, I want it to match that what I'm doing. So is his hair a little more gray? Is he can I be a dwarf? Can I be a stocky character? Because I'm kind of stocky in real life, as fluffy as we like it called, and I want to be a warrior, a paladin as that character type. But then if I'm making somebody like a mage, his name might be Mandala or something like that, a more magical name, and his character is, is an elf or something like that, or a gnome or, some kind of mystical creature. I wanted him to be close to that element.
Well, Grumpy sounds like me in real life without any coffee in the morning.
That's me when my kids come wake me up before I should on the weekends. That's what are you doing bothering me, kids? Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Skedaddle.
You're not my child. Get out of my house.
I don't know you. Okay, I guess I'm feeding you too now.
Either yell to your wife, be like, "Hon, it got out of its cage again."
Yeah, that's I've said that before too, but we just got a puppy last year, so that's a 3 boys and pets. Where'd my hair go?
Well,
I'm gonna say it's better you than me.
Yeah, they're happy. That's all that counts.
Well, now
That is true.
you're going to get your kids involved one day, and you're going to be handing down your old system. So you want to create a new system. And what would your typical setup be at home? What would be the number of screens you use? What kind of system do you build?
So my rig at home right now is all custom built by me. I'm actually an IT guy in real life. I work for an awesome medical software company. Just
please,
wait,
I
won't
say
their name.
I'm going to take a guess here. Epic?
No.
Okay, thank
It's
God.
No. And I know them very well, and I've worked for one of their competitors in the past. But no, I just work for a very small, and I won't mention his name out of respect and all that. But
that's right. We'll leave it at that.
Oh yeah, but so everything's built. I work from home, so everything's built to my custom specs. So right now I have two 30-inch monitors. I'm actually saving up for my first 4K monitor. I'm like, well, I've got a GTX 1070. I might as well put it to some use besides VR. And so I've got a AMD 8350 as my CPU. Just so that's my kind of standard build right now. Is what I need. It's nothing too fancy. I'm not doing SLI. I don't want to do 32 gigs of RAM. 16 is cool with me. Everything's I've got a custom cooler set in it. Just airflow, not liquid. But I mean, it does everything I want it to do. It plays the newer games, plays some VR games, and that works for me. I don't need to be too.
It's what you need.
Yeah. I can play The Witcher. I can play classic EQ on Agmar when I've played there, and gone back and hung out and seen the original, and I can play some of the newer stuff. It's a nice little mix. And I can also switch around and go play on my Switch with my kids. Play Mario Kart.
Nice. Will you be adding to that system though, or not?
Yeah, I eventually do want to upgrade. I want to expand my SSD. I've got a 500 gig SSD right now, so and that's just my internal OS and everything. I've also got a 2 terabyte sitting on the side, and then a 2 terabyte backup drive. So I make sure everything's working, because if my main games go, that's annoying, but it's the data, because I work from home and it's all my work files and stuff like that. So I make sure it's backed up nightly. And it's just the same thing with MMOs in the past. I've lost drives before, and you only lose them once, because you never let that happen again. I lost all my old screenshots and everything. I was like, oh man, I got married in EQ and everything. It was neat. We had other GMs come to the event, and they're like, the moon. We were in South Carolina, and the spires. We got married at the spires, and the moon went right in between the spires. So if you looked up, the moon was right held by it like a diamond. It was like, wow, this is the most amazing. Yeah, it was. I still remember that. And then she left me for a guy that gave her more loot. But, what are you going to do? Forever the
That's the story of life.
Story of life.
That really happened. God, that really happened, too.
So
it was the night that I got my Spain.
Yeah. So when you're playing in your typical MMO, do you tend to just play with, like, real-life friends, or do you, go out and try to make new friends from the game?
Both. I started EQ from a buddy in college who told me about the game, and he told me about these giant spiders that were as big as houses in Hinos Hills and North Carolina and all this. I'm like, well, I want to go fight some giant spiders. So I just played with him, but day one, I couldn't find them, so I just went and found people. And I remember the first night I played, I got to level 7, and I found myself lost in West Corona at the first guard tower. Yeah. And I remember a guy, and this is back in 99, I remember the guy's name was Epic, and he came and he showed me how to get back, and it was just like, and the guy was on my friends list for 5 years. We just talked all the time. It was first night, nice. And I was like, this is cool. So I've always been open to meeting people in MMOs, then having that be an experience. Yeah. But if I have friends in real life that I can play with, I like to. But, working from home and having kids and everything, and I'm a bit of a nerd, so I don't really go out and go, hey, I want to be friends. I just go, okay, I know you online.
I tried that once. I got a restraining order.
Right? I wasn't lurking. I was just trying to talk to him. Jeez, man.
I didn't know if that was
stalking is such an offensive term. Or not. Yeah, stalking is such an offensive term.
Right?
It's not stalking. It's admiring from afar.
Mm-hmm. That is not
just
telescope
without the
in my
far.
pockets. Yeah, right. I have a couple friends in real life who I've played with for a couple years, and we collect each other. We have each other on Steam or on the Battle.net or on this different social media platform, Twitter, what have you, and we get to keep talking, and that's nice because I got back in touch with somebody that I played EQ with in a different MMO. We were actually playing that Neverwinter, the newer Neverwinter MMO, and I had my same character name on my knight there. And somebody all of a sudden just goes, "Oh my God, is that Shora Everhart?" And I'm like, "Hello, person." They're like, "Hey,
if I owe you money, it's not."
It's like, how much child support do I owe? Oh, so hi, honey. No, and it happened to be a paladin who I was friends with back in EQ in '99, and we still talk every day. Like, well, not every day, but every couple weeks or so. But we still see each other, online and stuff like that, and it's kind of cool. It's like. That's still, we still have that cool connection.
Yeah.
We're still that. It's like I'm a tech support nerd, and he's an MMA fighter, and I've seen pictures of his fights and all this, and it's him. I'm like that. Whoa, that's because there's
Good
pictures.
guy to have on your side, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So you're his tech support, and he's your complaint department.
That's right.
Brilliant.
That's us. It's kind of cool. I've always been that way, though. I've always befriended the big guys, and I'm like, I want you on my side when the zombies come. See, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to your compound. You see.
So now you're logging into Pantheon for the first time, and you hit the character creation screen. Out of the games that you've played currently and in the past, what would be the best one that you've found, and what would you put that into the Pantheon creations?
Oh, it'd be a mix, I think. I did like Black Deserts, but I thought it was a little bit too much shine, if you know what I mean. Like, everything was delicious. Like, everything was like, ooh, little too much.
Everything was sweaty and oily.
Yeah, like, I was like, okay, cool, I have a good graphics card that can do that kind of thing. But it's too much. It's too much bloom. It's too much lens. It's
too much flair.
I want just some meat and potatoes. I just want something nice where I can see some cool hair come down. You could change the hairstyles. Maybe there's a little bit of physics to it. It doesn't have to be a ton. I don't need. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't need. I don't need that. It's not Geralt. But let me have some beard options. Let me have some facial tattoos. Maybe let me touch it up a little bit. I want that customization where. The cheeks could be a little higher or maybe a little lower, a little fatter, a little dumpier type dude, like me, and not go crazy. Like that doesn't have to be the first 17 hours. It could be the first 16 hours. It doesn't have to be the whole game. So, like I want in Pantheon, like I see these little gnomes, and I'm like, man, I see this template for them, and they just seem cool. Like they just seem artistic and mechanical, and somebody married the two into this delicious little dude who's mischievous, and I'm like, I want to see what else I can do with that. I want masks and little TikTok gnomes just crawling on me and little like, I want that. That's that
little accessories around him.
Yeah. Make them.
I want to take two gnomes, rub them together to see if I can get sparks.
Ching, 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 make a fire.
That's
exactly. Or maybe if I rub up against a gnome, if I can zap someone with my finger.
That'd be fun.
But, when you're actually making your character, how much time do you usually spend actually making it?
It depends on if I've ever seen the character creation before. Like, if I have time, like if it's the first night of the first rush and we're all going, we're all just trying to get in the game, I'll spend like a good 10-15 minutes just really, okay, is this my dude? All right, does he look cool? Does he look too much like this one actor that I don't like? Is he, just roughing them out. But if I get like, those games where you get to try the character creator beforehand, I usually make a template. I'll make my own template and, wait for that and kind of get it ready because I just want to go. Want to get in there. That's my dude. That's my name. I got it all reserved. Cool. If not, here's my backups. And we go. We have fun.
Right.
And we hit that wave of people. The wave, that first day MMO, first expansion.
Everything falls over every 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every NPC for miles is dead.
Yes. I love it because everybody's like going, yeah, we hit the new world. It's the beginning of EQ. It really is. It's land ho. It's that. And it's that feeling that I miss. I
Yeah.
miss, and I want that again. I want to go see what the broken man is, the broken maw is. I want to go see what, the dead vault is. I want to see what's in there and who used to live there and why their magic is still in this world and, hear the little stories. I want those details again. And that's not in the worlds anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have that.
Yeah.
That a lot of
Sad
people,
but true.
a lot of people really faulted Arcade with that too. Like, I notice people say Arcade could have been this, and this, and they talk about what it could have been, and then but this happened, and this was everything. It's like, because the world had that feeling of it being alive. Like, you could have a house, that was your house, and this is the boat that I built, and it could be destroyed, and then I don't have my boat, and there's people that could come get me, and it's scary and adventurous, and it's like, that felt like EQ, because it was scary to go from Kinos to Freeport. It was horrible that first run. I was shaking and sitting in my room at home, with my Mountain Dew poured, just going, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. I didn't buy it. I'm gonna die.
I wanna live.
And just like shaking and my heart palpitating the first times, and then getting there, I'm like, I'm going to bed. I'm done. I'm going to bed.
I'm out.
And then I just would bind and go to sleep, and the next day I'd be like, all right, now it's time to explore. Then let me get
But
back.
did you sleep though? I mean, you must have been lying in bed awake thinking, damn, I should
The first
definitely
time,
I should have done this.
No, yeah. Yep. The first time I went through it in my head a couple times too, because I remember going through Beholder's Gorge, and the Mudmen were on me, and I almost got killed there. And then going through the Commons Tunnel, one of those air wisps happened to come out, and I didn't have a magical weapon yet, so I'm just sitting there going, immune. I'm like, oh no, my fears have come true. I've gotten here, and now I'm going to die. So I just started running, and I got lost, and eventually we got there. I was just like, I'm scared.
Somebody save me.
Yeah. And then, it's you get used to it, and you're like, I know this run, and my second run was a little easier, and third run was a little easier, and then it's like, I got this. I can do this.
It's really bad when it's like you want to go from Hollis to Kinos, and you're like, when did I go through Split Paw?
Exactly.
Yes. I've been lost. When I 20 and we went to Beholder.
Blackborough, was it?
Blackborough. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, falling down that ramp, the hole. I've died in there many times. I just kept falling.
Haven't we all? Yeah.
Yep.
So, which starting areas are you most excited to see, and why? I mean, which ones are going to put fear into you, and which ones are going to be so exciting to see? Do you think?
Oh, I've been kind of looking at like where everybody's starting, and I'm kind of getting a feel for it. Like, because I'm looking at the map right now, and Wild's End has been kind of that whole area of King's Reach. I really want to see what's there. I really want to kind of get that elvish feeling that there's ancient ruins here, and there's a lot of old stuff here.
Yeah.
So I want to see what's in that part of the world first.
I'm just curious where the ogres are going to start.
If I had to guess, it'd be Broken Maw.
I think
it looks, it looks swampy, and it's got the big, what is that? Like a giant dragon bone or a giant bird, wyvern?
I would assume a dragon.
Yeah.
Because of the history of the ogres.
Yeah.
So when you're playing an MMO, do you tend to be a crafter at all?
I do like crafting if it's a good system. Like EQ, the original EQ, I tried so hard to get into it, but it was, this is back in '99, so it wasn't, it didn't work all the time. So I would make 150 banded gorgets, and nothing would happen. And so I got into it at first, and then gave it up for a while. And then in games where they actually have a system, like I liked EQ2's system, it was a little tedious at times, but I was like, okay, cool, this has skills, and I actually have to pay attention to this. I liked that. I like having to build small components to then build bigger components, and then always have a need for those smaller components on like a market.
Yeah.
So you're a seller, basically.
Yeah.
I like to be in small volumes. I'm not one of those whale hunter types out there where they play the market all day and do all that, but makes them enough money to get by, as it were. Like a sellsword.
Is there a particular trade skill that you tend to enjoy more than others?
I always liked blacksmithing. I thought it was cool. You know, be the guy that I always wanted to be the guy that owned the blacksmith though. You know, like Star Wars Galaxies had the you could own your own shop, and I had a buddy who was like the best at making blasters, and he was, you know, everybody knew him. They're like, oh, we got to go to this guy Carey's house. He's got the best. So everybody come, and I'm like, man, this is my buddy. Cool, this is cool. I get to see all these people come in, and I want that. I wanted to know the guy that made that cool piece of armor and know who he is, and like that guy can make some cool stuff.
So you're his pimp, basically.
Yeah, just, you know, not that, but just I like to know those people. I like to have those connections or be that guy. You know, like, hey, he makes some good armor. He knows what's up.
No,
I like to be the supplier. You know.
Yeah, perfect.
I want him to come to my shop. I ain't gonna take care of them.
Don't go here.
Yeah, don't go there.
He sells rusty garbage. Come to my shop.
That's right. I make the best nails around.
So when you first started getting into Pantheon, and you started watching some of the videos, etc., what was the first wow moment, or even reading some of the information? What was your first wow moment that said, "Damn, I got to follow this game"?
Oh God, the moment I heard Brad was working on another game, I was like, "Oh man, let's go for another ride. Let's do this. let's see where we go. I want to do this," because, you know, I like Brad. I was a apprentice guide back in EQ, and I've actually PM'd Brad a couple times over the years on Twitter. Very receptive dude. Like, he was like, "Hey, cool, that's cool that you used to be a guide." You know, and he's talked to me. Like, we've had conversations, and he's not, you know, like a dev that doesn't actually reply to his fans or people that play games that he plays. He was nice when I was a guide too. I emailed him a couple times like, "Hey, is this the best way to do something, or do you think this is the lore that I should be telling them about?" You know, just little things like that. And he replied. I was like, wow, I'm like 19, man. And I'm, you know, at the time, and here's the dev of the game talking to me. I'm like, wow,
superstar.
Yeah.
I mean, and nobody's perfect, you know. Everyone's got their flaws. And one flaw that Brad certainly doesn't have is that he does try to take the time to engage with everybody when he can.
It was nice. It was a, you know, it was a breath of fresh air. It's like, oh man, this guy's actually accessible as a human. You know, that's how I like to be with my world too. You know, my bosses are all accessible humans to me. You know, that's why I work for the company I do, because they're humans, and I like people that are just like that. Just, you know, there's not a line. There's not, you know, there's a line, but not a, you know, a barrier. It's like no conversation. You can actually have a conversation about something that you thought was interesting, or, you know, hey, what do you are you adding this in your new game, or what are your thoughts on this? And he listened. He was like, cool, man. You know, that's actually kind of a cool idea. And I was thinking about this and this. Like, cool, you know. And it wasn't like a, hey, you got to put my idea in the game. It was more of just like a, hey, man, this was always cool. And I heard you talking about this. Are you doing this? Yeah, cool. All right.
Oh yeah. Good. So, when you make a new character, do you prefer that, like, races have their own starting areas, or do you prefer to have everybody starting in the same area?
Oh no, spread it out. Keep everybody somewhere very different. And I liked that in multiple games. You know, I liked that in Rift, that there was two different sides and a very big clash to them. I like that EverQuest, you started out in, you know, the Ferrot region, or you started out in Kelethin, or you started out, you know, in Butcher Block, like a different feel. Even World of Warcraft, you know, Night Elves home versus humans versus orcs, and it's a very different feel. So you feel that character. That's kind of what you're dressing as. Yeah. You know, you're a halfling, so you live close to running. You know those goblins. You know that they're your nemesis. But if you're a human, you're coming from Kenos. You're like, what's a goblin? I've never seen a goblin before. What I know gnolls. Gnolls are evil. I know bandits, and I know gnolls. I don't know what this goblin thing is. So they see a goblin, they're like, I don't know what that is. What is that? That's scary. So it takes the world and makes it very unfamiliar. And the first time you're walking through it, you're going, I don't know what this is. This is your elven homeland. I'm very new to this. This is scary to me. So let's explore. Let's have that feeling of awe and wonder. That was EQ, and that's kind of what I see happening here, where everybody's kind of somewhere different, and the world looks different. I'm scared of this volcano region. This is really weird. There's mermaids here. You know, am I safe? Are they going to kill me? Am I going to lose my stuff? that's the worry of having that. So that plays into a part of where I start and why I want to start there.
So now, if there's one game you'd want to have remade faster, which game would it be and why?
Oh man, that's a long list. It's a very, well, honestly, the one that is being remade. It's not an MMO. It's actually Shenmue. I was a big fan back in the Dreamcast. I played it right after my father did pass away, and it was about a kid who lost his dad. So again, my role-playing role kind of put me into his shoes, and I was him. So when they announced they were doing Shenmue 3, I actually backed $100 just to get my name in the credits, just to be like, there's my, that's my nod to, hey, thank you for being there. Yeah, it's like my nod to, and thanks for being there when I really had a crappy time in my life, video game. Thanks for letting me, enjoy that. Now they just re-released the HD version of it. I actually get to play with my kids now, and they're experiencing it for the first time, and they're like going, well, why do you go down that road? So they've gotten to see EQ as well, like that. And that was really cool. The first time on the progression server, I was playing with, you guys probably know who Co-Carnage is. I was in his guild. Me and him were kind of met through there, and I didn't know him as a streamer, but I knew that there was this guy who had a big guild, and he was a nice guy. I was like, okay, cool, I'll join his guild. And I got to know him. He was a very nice guy. He was very pleasant, very, just like your buddy, that you go over his house and like, they're barbecuing. You come in, you're like, hey, Co, what's up, man? It's like, that's a nice guy. I like that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he was a nice guild leader. We had fun, and we played original EQ. We raided Fear, and my kids got to come in and be like, Daddy, who's your guy? I'm like, oh, that's my necromancer. And what's he got? I'm like, that's a skeleton. He's really cool. They got to see that for the first time, and I'm like, what do you think of this? And they're like, that guy's scary. I'm like, he's a dark elf. He's a rogue. And, they're like, oh, he's scary. I'm like, yeah, it's an ogre. And they're like, I like him. I'm like, yeah, that you would. My youngest son, he's the evil one. He controls everybody. He's like the little.
I like him already.
My middle son's the mage. Seriously, he's quizzical. He likes to think. He loves breaking into systems and figuring stuff out. 7 years old. And then my oldest he's the paladin. He's the knight. I keep my brother safe. I keep everything running. They've got those personality types, and I love it because that just happened. That wasn't me going, you must be this. It was just like, oh, cool. You're the rogue, you're the mage, you're the paladin, I'm the dad. This is awesome.
Awesome.
So, if you could pick 3 features from other games to implement into Pantheon, what would they be and why?
I would like to see the passion for the lore that World of Warcraft put out in the earlier expansions, that feeling of, oh my god, I'm in, Warcraft 3. I would like to see the versatility in games like Arcade, where you could maybe get a boat and sail that boat to that very, very exclusive island and have an adventure getting there. And I've always wanted that in an MMO, is boats. I don't know why. I like boats. And then the family feeling of EQ. Just knowing your friends' names, remembering that guild that had that event and it was cool. Just those little things that take you back and you're like, yeah, that's what MMOs are. It's family. We fight and we have drama, but that's cool. And you see them now and you're like,
this is families do in real life, so.
Exactly.
And it was like, I didn't like that one guy, but me and him were cool one night and we went and did a dungeon together and that was cool. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Just a change of pace over here. How important is data mining to you? I.e. like patch note data, item quest, websites, etc. Do you use them or not? These type of things?
I like news sites, but I don't go deep. Like if I'm playing, just because it's the newest expansion I'm playing with is World of Warcraft, I'll go on MMO Champion or something like that, and I'll look at, oh, okay, there's all the green notes, and I know just the data myself. I'll just skim past it and just be like, all right, I'll get to that when it's actually a patch. Oh, they're making a major change? Okay, I'll read that for a second.
Yeah.
If it's something minor, it's like, okay, I want to experience it. I don't want to know what's in the vault, what's behind the curtain. I would like the surprise, but not know, hey, there's a surprise here, guys. I don't want to know that. Just surprise me or don't.
Yeah, it's going to be around more so knowing what changes affect your class, basically, but nothing about secrets in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I like that feeling of awe. The first time you went to the Lake Wraith, you saw the lake. You're like, what? There's a giant diving board. We can jump off the aviac tower. What? that. And you guys remember the first time you went there, you're like, whoa, it's a giant lake zone. Cool. Or Ocean of Tears, and you're like, oh my god, there's boats and sirens, and eventually a giant dinosaur, and you freak out. It's like that was nice. I don't mind that again. And with
mystery.
Yeah. I don't want to know exactly what happens to this character and already know what the voices say because they data mined the voice files. I was like, stop. Like, keep that in the pocket over here in this corner, and that's cool. If I play it in beta and I see, I'm like, all right, I saw it, whatever. But there's certain things I won't go past. Like betas, I usually only play about 40% of the content just because I want a lot.
Yeah.
That first day.
So, are you actually playing anything else right now while you're waiting for Pantheon?
Oh, I'm playing ton MMO wise. I've actually just started getting into Warframe a little bit more, and I played it a little bit way back when. I was like, this is weird. I don't understand this. These controls are really, really weird to start out with. So I was like, no, uninstall. And then I tried it again, and finally I saw that new TennoCon thing, and I'm like, we can go into space? I'm sold. Get me my space rig. We're going. and I was like, this is cool. Let's try it again. So I jumped in that, and I've been messing around with just a lot of single player games. Pillars of Eternity. I tried No Man's Sky, new update. But I've been thinking about getting back and checking out where Final Fantasy's been going. Just because I've been interested in seeing it's changed a lot since I first played it. And I was like,
oh yeah.
Flying, and there's now flying, and there's now all this stuff. I'm like, okay, I only got to like the very beginning of the first expansion. I never got past that lengthy quest line that you got to go through.
Yeah.
So, and it was 60 hours of quest line story just to get to the beginning. I'm like,
wow.
Okay, I know the third cousin of the fourth, bishop of the. Whoa. Okay, I only got so much time. I got 3 kids,
Yeah.
So, and there's times when I like to sit down and really nerd out my lore and really get into, okay, this is cool. This is, this is who this guy is. I get this story about this guy. It's fun to do that. But, when it's a whole lot,
Yeah, you got to find that happy medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, if I told you could get into Pantheon right now, where would you go and what would you do?
Oh God, I want to see the biggest city there is. Like I want to look at the cities and just kind of see the size of them versus me, because that was the first thing I remembered. Kinos was big to me. It was just massively sprawled out, and I was like, I'm scared. This is huge. I want to see that again. I like those big cities. I don't know why I've always been drawn. I want to see get up high in the air and just see a landscape. I want to see out over and see how much I can see and just be like, I want to go there and I want to go there, and I'm looking forward to it. I know that day is coming, and the game it's not done. It's cooking. It's stew. It's got to cook, and I'm cool with that because, the longer it cooks, the better stew. We don't need all these fingers just going, well, maybe if it's curved this way, just make it happen. I trust you.
Make it good.
Thing. Yeah, and we don't got to rush it out, because if we do that, then we've seen what that does. We've seen those half-made games where, and then Final Fantasy, for example, I played 1.0. That was not a good run,
I would say half-made games. You could
very much.
You could basically throw a dart at a pile of MMO boxes, and I guarantee you'd hit one that was half-made.
The hype train is deadly because everybody wants the hype. Everybody wants. They're like, "Oh my God, Bless is coming," and we're all going, "No."
See, I tell people hype is like driving really fast. It's exhilarating. It's great. But the minute there's a turn or a bump in the road, you are in some major trouble.
It's scary. It's scary. And people put all this money and time and effort into it, and you see this. You even see it on Twitch. You know, the stream wave will come, and you know, it's like when Bless came out, everybody's like, "Gotta do Bless, check it out," and then next day it's like, "Gotta refund Bless, we hate it now." You know, and I was kind of.
Yeah, I looked at that one. I was like, you know what? That's going to be a flop. I guarantee it. And a buddy of mine bought it, and he was like, I don't know why people aren't playing it. It's like, because they're seeing the same thing I'm seeing.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, everybody, we are chatting to Grumpy TV. Koala couldn't make it, so any questions you have, please put them up, and we'll ask Grumpy at the end of the session. Going on with the questions. So, what is the most exciting thing about Pantheon for you at this point that you're seeing?
Oh, new videos. You know, some of the new stuff that's coming out, especially with the playtest that's being done lately. I'm really like seeing. I like that I can see this from different perspectives. You know, so far I've seen it from a Dire Lord, and I've seen it from a Ranger. I've seen it from these different little angles, monks. You know. And I'm like, this is cool. Each one plays a very different part, and none of them are, you know, everybody has this stun, everybody has this power up spell. There's no cookie cutter to it. Everybody has a very, very distinct flavor, and it makes a really cool stew. You know, it comes together. You know, like I never would have thought that would work, but that works. You know.
Yeah, and Pantheon, Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to ask another question then, and this follows up to a question I think that was asked in one of the people watching. So after watching all these videos, which class are you most excited for at this point?
Right now, of what's been shown, and I know there's maybe some others coming. You know, eventually, I want to see eventually what they do with the Bard. I think that'd be cool to see an actual proper Bard again, because I've been missing Bards. Those were made very cool in a couple games. I really want to see what the Summoner can do.
Yeah. I
want to see what the Paladin can do, because that's my boy. Wizard and Druid, because I want to see how different their style is. You know, the Druid, I like playing. I've always liked Druids. I thought they're very cool nature characters.
Yeah.
But not always done right. You know, not always gone down the right road with them. So I want to see what happens. I want to see how they feel. Wizards, just the difference of their spells. Wizards feel very, very different from everything else. Just in seeing that they can, you know, brand enemies, or they can, you know, pull out different elements, cold or arcane, or, you know, that's kind of their thing, and it feels very different from playing someone that's like a Dire Lord or an Enchanter or a Summoner.
Right. So, I'll say, if you're really excited about the Paladin, the community stream that was, well, not that long ago, Sacred was playing a Paladin.
I don't think I saw that stream.
Yeah, if somebody...
I have to look it up.
If possibly Zathras or Miss Frogzor, if they'd be so kind as to post a link to Sacred's Twitch channel, you can check that out after the show and see the Paladins.
Right on. I have been wanting to see them, and I haven't been, you know, work and kids and all that. You don't get to see everything, so I'm not the type that's on every news note and everything, but when I get to see it, I'm like, this is cool. I like, you know, like I saw somebody asked about like what skills I'm looking forward to, and I'm seeing this one called Fiery Aegis, or however you say this. You know,
Aegis,
I could never Aegis. I've never been able to say that in my whole life. Just you always see it everywhere, like Aegis.
As long
Aegis.
as you don't put an N in there, you're fine.
Yeah, right.
Just saying.
Yeah. I like that the idea of a spell like that, where it's just like it's a giant wall of fire that takes all the poison and disease effects and just goes rah. That's kind of a cool idea. Just the stun, push, rush. You know, kind of that initial slam element. Like I used to like that in you remember Rift came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was I liked their warrior hybrid type thing where you could just slam into somebody as hard as you can, or a warrior's rush in World of Warcraft or something. You know, it's kind of you shoulder check them. it's like that feels good. That's a good first move. You know,
Oh,
it really
yeah.
clears the battlefield. You know if somebody's in front of you, they're taking that hit, and you're like, you can kind of get into it. You can get into your character, be like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a good fight. This is gonna be a good fight.
It's a very satisfying ability.
Mm-hmm. It is, you know, and I like
Right.
how paladins so far are looking. I mean, they look like the old school knight. It's
They look like a lot of thought was put into them.
Yeah.
Well, it is, you know, it is one of Brad's favorites. You know, Eridune has always been kind of
And
a.
I try not to hold that against him.
Eridune's a cool character. I remember wanting a Fiery Avenger for a long time, and I got a Soulfire, but I never got my Fiery Avenger.
Well, most people are well aware that in Pantheon, they're taking the E and PvE to a whole new level by doing these climates, where the environment is actually fighting you.
I'm excited.
Oh yes, can you think of any other like crazy type of environments that you might want to have added to Pantheon?
Oh gosh, I mean, if we start talking like, see, I always thought of, so there's the normal elements. You got your cold, you got your poison, you got your tepid, heat, you know, wind blasted. But then let's start talking. Let's break into the elemental planes and actually, you know, zones that are, you know, not just magnetized, but you know, built with magical energy that you could barely move through it because it's so thick. You know, you're breaking through time barriers, and time keeps moving around itself. You know, just things like that where, and this is advanced. You know, this is once you've unlocked far things, just to give that new level, that new like, hey, we're in the, you know, plane of sky and back in original. You know, this is the top. We're up there. And then there's something added like, hey, if we want to get to that island or we want to get this unlocked, we have to become, you know, resistant to time magic, and this is going to be a big portion of this. Something like that would be cool. Just to, yeah, right.
See all the characters hunched over.
Yeah,
through the zone.
Exactly. And you know, you see things like mobs spawn, and then you could actually see like the ghost of somebody come up to it and slash it, and they die in front of you. And you're like, I can't kill anything because they keep dying from people in a normal time stream. You know, just I've written this stuff down throughout the years, just little, you know, like I made my own MMO sort of, and I was like, I want this in EQ, and I couldn't make that. I couldn't get there in life. I was too busy rebuilding everything after Dad died. So I needed to make this world that I needed, and I made one. I made all these little things that work together, and I was like, these systems are cool, and it, you know, a lot of them actually ended up. I saw them in MMOs, which was like, that's cool. So I was on the right track with that. That's kind of cool to see. And I kept it. Like, my kids have seen it. They're like, this is cool, Dad. I wish this was a game, and I wish you could do this in games. I'm like, it's, you know, it's what I wanted EQ to expand into. It's just, you know, money, time, and, you know, people in positions of not developers don't always work together, you know, and you don't always get there. And sometimes people make you put stuff out way sooner and, you know, not be done. And
sometimes things happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, that's
and I also hope that if they have some sort of underwater environment, that they have the logic behind the spells and everything, and well, how they interact with that type of environment. Be very cool.
I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, like fire being completely worthless, electricity being an AoE.
not worthless per se, but what if, like, say, a fireball, obviously it would probably do less damage, but instead of trailing smoke, it trailed bubbles.
Or superheated steam, basically.
Sonic almost. No, that makes sense. The elements themselves could transform the spells. You know, fire would crystallize ice in a really cold environment and have it kind of shoot out like shards.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. I like. That's something I also thought about throughout the years. Just what if we could really, almost like, what is that game? PoE, Path of Exile, where everybody kind of could really customize your spells with specialties. I kind of dug that, but it went way too deep. Like, and it all became cookie cutter. Like, you had to do this. But I like the idea of little, like, you know, my fireball spell does this. You know, I was like, that's cool. That's kind of, you know, almost like, you know, another level to the game of, like, we can research spell, you know, manipulation, and my lightning bolt arcs this way, and his is a really hard punch. You know, like, I kind of like that because it does make things. It's harder to balance, of course, but
Right.
it does give you a bigger world to play with. It gives you more things. You know, mages versus wizards. It's just little changes that turn you into one thing versus another. And
Yeah.
I miss that. You know, almost like, you know, the different specs in WoW, or, you know, the different soul trees that you had in Rift, or even, you know, the very specific types of paladins we would see. You know, tanks versus two-hander, you know, style.
So yeah, in terms of missing stuff in MMOs, in terms of the gameplay that you've done in the past, what for you is the most enjoyable? Would it be raiding, exploring, grouping, or crafting? And why would those things feature for you?
Exploring becomes the first thing that I do in most MMOs. Like, I want to level up, and I'm going to do that while I explore, but I just want to go on an adventure, and I want to see the towns. I want to see if they live. I want to see if there's a breath to them, or if it's just NPCs standing there. Because, you know, I want to see a world where I can hail an NPC or talk to them, maybe find a hidden quest. I want there to be a little dangerous alley that you walk down, and you're like, whoa, that door opens. Okay. Whoa, there's a dude in there. Okay, what's going on here? Let's check this out. This is cool. Okay, there's a basement. What's next? The cookie crumbs they're right in front of me, but I'm finding this. I'm figuring this out. You know, so that's the first thing I like to do, is I want to see, what did you put in there for me, guys? What's special? What makes this world kind of, you know, why can I click on that? That's cool. I can click on that. All right, what's the next thing? I want to see something else. You know, because even though, you know, we live in that very, you know, show me quick kind of world, I want to get in there and find those things. I want them to be little. Just little things you notice, you know, like the Soulfire quest. We didn't know that was in EQ at first.
Yeah.
And you actually had to, you know, you had to talk to this guy, or, you know, when they put the Fiery Avenger quest back in, or, you know, even the bigger epic quests later on, it was like you had to talk to the people and figure it out. And we didn't have maps. Back in my day, we had no maps. We had to run to the Karanas.
Exactly.
You had to
we had to go
remember how to get
uphill
there.
both ways.
And, you know, that's where I started, though. I started with my mom on our Apple IIe compatible PC at home back in the early 80s, and we played King's Quest. And Mom would graph map.
What a good game.
It was so awesome. We didn't know, maybe we could push that rock. Oh my God, there's a dagger under there. Oh my God, Mom. And, you know, we would. It was cool because I still for years and years had those maps, and it was, you know, I knew that my mom would draw these out, and this is where the fairy is, and this is where the little dwarf character is, and you got to get around here. And it was cool to kind of see that, because now, you know, I do that. I like these little maps of where I've been, or where, you know, where I'm going, and I want to find those things in the world, just these little hobbit holes of treasure, these little hidden away things, and that's the world to me. That's what it matters. That's what's going to keep me there tomorrow. It's what's going to keep me there for months and months. Is that world matters.
I want to be playing for over 100 hours and still not figure out stuff that was right at the beginning of the game, and you go back and you go, oh wow, what's that? But yeah.
Yep. It's a cool feeling. It's a very neat feeling, because you feel like you're on something special. You know, you're in a special place, and it's a special game, and, you know, we can do a cool thing. And I want that again. I want the towns to be. I want to go into a bar and sit down at the bar and hear NPCs talking about something. I've always wanted that in games where, like, you had to go and get information, go get intel.
Yeah.
I want that, and that would be the biggest thing that I would add to Pantheon, is add to that intuition system where you're like, I think I hear something. This person has a problem. Add to it. Maybe give people jobs. Like, and hear me out. This is a weird one, but what if you could have a job as a barmaid or a bar server dude, and your character became almost looking like an NPC, but while you did that, that was your character. It was your special look, so people in the bar knew, hey, that special looking character, but not you, is there. So you almost have an alter ego, and you get to pick up information. You know, either NPCs talking about things, schedules, gold shipments, something that makes the world alive, and then the players matter, and then the world matters, and they all, you know, just little things like that. I know it wouldn't really work. There's got to be millions of bars, but see that idea I've always been building. I've been building that idea for years. Is you work as almost an undercover NPC, and that's kind of your gig. You do that. You maybe make a little bit of a salary, helps you out. Maybe your player owns that bar, You know?
Maybe you have your snitch in a specific bar that's
Exactly.
constantly listening for information and feeds it back to you whenever you're back in town.
Yeah, just things that you could. That's what I want. Asheron's Call had stuff like that where I could, listen in on conversations from from the other room, and I'm like, this is amazing. Just little thing, Asheron's Call was special. That one's I didn't talk about. I had a patron who I still remember his name, and I didn't only play for a couple months, but his name was Andrus. Very, very nice dude, and he would give me quests. He would actually say, "All right, you're," and my name in game was Adrian because I made this character named Adrian, and then I named my son Aiden, so he became my real son. And he would say, "Adrian, I want you to go down to this town," and me and my friend once ran into these creatures, and I want you to find these creatures, and I want you to give me these hides off these creatures and bring them back, and I'll give you an acid sword. And I would do that and have this long 4-hour adventure, almost dying to these stupid wasps and these stupid monsters. But I get it, and I come back and he give me an acid sword. I'm like, oh my god, this real player just gave me a quest. I want that again. I want that in an MMO. Give me the patron vassal system and make the players care about what their people under them do, because not only does it give them stuff, but you care. That dude is my dude. I'm gonna take care of him. Give him some stuff. That would be cool. I think it would bring that community back to the.
Yeah, it would definitely put a very bright spotlight on the fact that community would have to matter.
Yeah. I sat in one of we had this big, I don't even remember what the organizations, the guilds were called, but we were in this big one, and it was a huge, 1,000 players. And I remember sitting in this massive hall, and all these players were standing up and introducing themselves, and all this stuff was happening. And I'm just watching. I'm like, man, this is a community. This is a world. I don't want to talk in here. And I remember telling the guy that got me in, Andrus, I said, I don't want to say anything because I'm too embarrassed. Somebody will, say, hey, quiet, you're new. So and he's like, no, it's cool, man. Just, don't chat too much. I remember that feeling like, man, I'm like the new kid in this big witches school. This is cool. I'm Harry Potter. This is back in the 90s, So it's that sense of adventure, of things being new. That's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see Terminus like that. That new. This is cool. These people are. Oh, this person lives here. This person's from here. This is, it's a different world.
Absolutely. Being a fellow IT guy, I gotta ask, what do you think about third-party apps that are supposed to improve Pantheon, like being able to chat from your phone, or being able to do crafting from your phone, or even a website, stuff like that?
I believe the same thing that a lot of MMOs say. If it allows you to perform actions that someone would normally have to do by sitting at your keyboard and doing it, then maybe it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Because years ago I got back into, when I got into World of Warcraft, right when it was at the first expansion pack, I had a neighbor, really nice guy. He would keep trying to get me to get back into World of Warcraft, and he said, I got this bot program. It's the greatest program ever. You're never going to get caught. We're going to get you all up to max level. You're going to get some cool characters. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. I'll do it myself when I come back. And every day, keep doing it. One day, he comes over and goes, hey, man, I got to go to Walmart. You want to come with me? I said, why? And he goes, I got to buy new games, a new expansion. I'm like, why? They catch the bot. And he goes, yeah. I'm like, wait, so your account, your wife's account, your 3 kids' account, and your mom's account? And he goes, yeah, they're all banned. So he went to Walmart, bought them all, reinstalled them, and his IP address was banned, so they all got banned again. Yeah. So, that was my, first bullet dodge moment. I've seen too many people get messed up with it.
Yeah, with that stuff, I always think it's funny. Being an IT guy, I am, and I'm sure you're well aware of this as well, that the internet is not secure whatsoever.
No, I work in medical software. If anybody can hear me, help! It's
right.
If y'all knew what was open and how many of your doctor's information, your private medical information is out there, I could sit in front of any doctor's office with a laptop and have it in 5 minutes.
Exactly. And the thing is, so when you're on an extremely insecure platform, what are the chances of you hiding from this company that has a heck of a lot more resources than you? Slim to none.
There's always someone smarter than me. And that was one of the things that I first tried to figure out, when I got into IT. you're never smarter than the other guy. There's always going to be a guy that knows something that you don't know because he figured it out first. You know, so shut up and listen and figure it out. And if it's a dangerous road, stay away from it. All right, unless you want to play around. So I never messed with like the mods, the third-party stuff. You know, I like add-ons sometimes if they're approved or they're, you know, they help the game.
Yeah.
You know, Rift had them, World of Warcraft had them. You know, and sometimes I like the UI to look a little different if it's possible. Cool. If not, it's no reason to mess with it. You know,
Wise word.
There for a game.
Yeah. Wise word.
I'm a simple type, you see.
Simple.
Well, the thing is, if you care about the game, you're not going to bother with that stuff.
Yeah.
Because when you're using that stuff, you're not experiencing the game.
No.
So you obviously don't care about it.
You're breaking the paradigm that's been created for this world. You know, originally Q was meant to be played in either that glorious, gorgeous UI where it was a little box right in the middle, or the super fancy everything was invisible mode. And I liked it. I was like, this is cool, invisible mode. I'm special. You know, but
the last
now
time someone told me that they got to max level in like 24 hours, I laughed at them. I flat out laughed at them. They're like, what's so funny? I'm like, you missed so much cool stuff.
Yup.
Mm-hmm. You missed what the game's about, ultimately.
I laughed
plus,
at the rushers. All the people are like,
plus now you're going to sit there complaining for the next 2 weeks while the community catches up. Bravo. That was the smartest move.
I took my time. I always take my time. You know, even in fast games like World of Warcraft, where you can get 4 hours for the first person to get first max level on this new expansion. And I'm like, wow, congratulations on the life. You got it, buddy. You did it. You conquered everything by doing that.
I will say that on the flip side, some people do it just to time themselves, to push themselves. If that's why you do it, if that's why you do it, I have respect for that.
Oh yeah, that's that's the hustle. That's the you got that. Yeah. That's kind of cool because I like speedrunners.
That's almost an athlete where you're just pushing yourself to get better.
But the guys in your guild that are like, oh, why aren't you this level? I'm already this level. You're like, dude, calm down. I pay my $15 a month. So when did you start paying mine? This is my subscription, my game that I'm playing, and I'm not interrupting your game. So if my bubble don't touch your bubble, we're good, man. You know. Exactly. That's all life is. As long as your bubble don't touch somebody else's bubble, you're good. Don't interrupt somebody else's day. Don't bring negativity. Everybody's copacetic. I play a good month, don't I?
So fast forward 3 years. What do you imagine Pantheon to have evolved in?
Oh, I think it's going to pick up a pretty nice community. I think when it comes out, this is kind of what I expect. I think it's going to have a big bubble at first, and I don't think it's going to per se burst. But I think it's going to shrink into a very comfortable bubble that's going to be nice. And because I know that all the streamers are going to be playing, so it's going to get that big inflation. And, Ko's going to play, and Swifty's going to play, and all those big names. And, you're going to get your really big, ninja types, millions or whatever, however many, I don't know. I'm an old man. All these people, and it's going to inflate the population, obviously. And everyone's like, "Oh, what is this? This is something." And then you're going to have your people that are like, "Well, I don't want that type of game," and they're going to complain about it. They're going to kind of shrink. And as 3 years, a couple of years goes by, because if it's 3 years from today, we're looking at probably a year after release, or maybe 2 years after release, depending on where we're really looking at for release. So I think we're at that point where the community's kind of gotten to that comfortable stride. We're like, all right. Yeah. We're looking at maybe if we're at a year past release, okay, what's on the horizon? What next big patch you got? If it's 2 years, from the, it's right at release, we've been out for, just a minute. I'm like, oh, let's go. Let's see this world. I'm still going to be in that bubble, but I want to see that calm down, that what's next? What are they giving it to us next? Because, original vanilla, we all wanted horses. We all wanted horses in original EQ, and everybody was like, horses. And they never gave us horses until Luckland. And I was always like, man, I wanted horses like in vanilla. And that was the thing that I always wanted.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see what they're going to do with, expanding the game and adding more systems. Is it going to just always be these rules? Like, is it going to be, respectfully the vision, but just that vision? Or can we maybe add, like, if this works, if it's an idea that's logical and and we can put enough resources towards it, and we can put enough money towards it that it would logically work and make money and be fun. Can we do this? And I want to see that growth of an MMO, not just under the lanes of what MMOs have become.
Yeah.
We patch, we provide then a dungeon patch, then we provide a final raid patch, and then we go to expansion, and then we patch, and then we final raid patch, and then we go to expansion. It's boring. It's the same.
I don't want to be on a schedule.
No.
No.
On the rotation, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes the mystery out of it.
Yeah. You're always waiting for an expansion at that point. You're like, I'm just, I'm building up, here it comes, and wow, oh my god, expansion.
You also tend to constrain your community to, if you want to stay current, you have to get all this done by this time.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't. A community within your game should never feel like they need to rush through something because they might not make it to the next expansion when it's released.
Correct.
Yep. At
least that's my opinion.
Disappear, all the, this won't be available ever again, or, you have to do all this content. That's rough, because you're really putting a decision on the player. Well, how much of your old game do I want?
Yeah.
Did I want to play that expansion? Do I want to go through that content? Or maybe I just want to, skip it or just do dungeons or, go grind something. The option is always nice to have, but if you force somebody to do the content, then you got to make sure that content's worth doing.
Yeah.
Because if we're just doing it, then we're just doing it. It's just like, okay, I could have a couple beers and be like, I'm having fun. I don't even remember it.
See, I have a lot of respect for those guilds back in EverQuest that, even though expansions were released, they were determined to do the raiding part of the game in order.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Whereas I was always the person in the guild, in a guild going, well, technically we have nothing to really gain from this, so let's just skip this, go to the next expansion, because what we're going to get from here is going to be twice as good as this stuff.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. And what Marco says is quite true. Let's just hope Pantheon don't nerf hit points and damage in old content just to make people catch up a lot quicker.
No, that's not. I mean, if you're gonna do it, have it be either it's hard or just don't do it. Don't have them access to the part.
Right. I mean, if you make stuff easy, you're basically telling people you don't ever have to learn, because eventually we'll make this easy enough to where you can just throw your keyboard at the wall and you'll win.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, no disrespect to you, but WoW does that now. I can go through Legion content now, and that is, for those that don't know, that's the last expansion before this new one that just came out. So I'm 10 levels higher, so I can just go kill everything. And I didn't do a lot in Legion, so I can just go back and do it now. Haha. But then they gated those certain things, like you can never get these looks again, or you can never get these mounts again. And I'm like, well, why? Like, it's not worth anything. You're not inflating a value. You didn't make people want to come to your game. You're just making people go, oh, well, that was limited. That stinks. Yeah. I don't get to experience that. I don't get to level up my Azeroth weapon, my legendary special weapon. Now I don't get to experience that because that content's gone.
X mount 300. Well, I missed out on that one.
Oh yeah. People play in. It's some people play in that really crazy meta level where they have to have everything. I got a very rare drop the other day in WoW, and I ended up getting more money than I've ever seen before in my life in a game. I ended up getting, it was like 400,000 gold, and I'm like, I've never seen 400,000 gold. Not even EQ. I never had 400,000 plat. I wasn't that type of player. I just played. I didn't do that crazy all the time stock market thing where people are like, I have 5 million gold and I'm going to get a brontosaur mount with an auction house on it, so I can spend all my time doing this. Why? No gold. Not that way. Have something that you want to spend it on.
Granted, I've known some economic majors that they did that just to kind of test stuff that they've learned.
Yeah.
So they could actually chart out the ripple in the market.
Yep. I had a guy who was a real-life stock trader in a guild of mine, and he never played the game. He was level 39 always. And that's all he would do is run the stock market. And we one day asked him, how much do you really have? And he goes, I have 7 characters. All of those are level 1 except for this one, and they're gold capped on every single one of them. I'm like, Good Lord. And I'm like, what do you do with these? He's like, nothing. And I never will. I'll just delete them all. I'm like, you're not going to put the money back? I was like, nope, I just want to see how much I can take out. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. Just, they want to do it because they've gotten so bored with it. It's just the
Yeah.
same thing over and over again. Inflation, bubble burst, it goes down, then you rebuy it. You know, everything's circular. It becomes the same thing.
Yeah.
And I want to name my mount too, by the way. Because
Yeah.
mount naming is cool.
Yeah.
Having a mount that you can actually get off of and it like fights there. Yeah. I want that.
I just want to be able to name mount so I can get this big, mean, drooling mount and just name him something like
Paddles.
I'm just like Alan.
Alan. Here comes Slayathon and Alan.
Exactly. Or you get, you get the cuddliest looking mount, and then you name him like some crazy thing like Argafrax the Destroyer.
And Cuddles, his mount.
And Cuddles. I used to like that. Star Wars Galaxies, you could name all your pets and your mounts and all that, and that was fun. I liked it. I had this big like bird pterodactyl looking thing. I named it Blaze. And then like in WoW, my hunter pet names, they're all after my real pets. So I have a cat named Smudge, and it's the rare Loknahak model. So I had to make it special because he's dead cat. So you have to pay tribute. You have to kind of here's my nod to that cat. I kind of like doing that, being able to name your mount, name your pets, and
Very cool.
what it looks like depends on what it is.
So the most important question of all, excluding Lex and Yanilla and Shy, who is your host with the most?
I heard that.
You already know it's you, buddy.
Yes.
You, buddy.
You knock me out of the running. Oh my god.
Why not? I've got to win
Oh,
sometime.
That's it.
yeah.
I'm going back on mute now.
Excluding everybody but me. Who's the best?
You know it's you, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
Oh yeah, buddy,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, buddy.
No, but yeah. In all seriousness, then, thank you. It's been really, really great, and having you here, coming in at the last minute, Grumps, and it's really been a blast. It really has. Is there any questions, Shy, that anybody's asked and wanted to bring up?
Sorry if I went long-winded at all, by
well-
the way.
Ah, we love it. We love
Don't
it.
split it, dude.
Don't worry, it's great.
Well, I've
really,
got
really
two
good.
questions. One of them is mine to Josh, going, "Why did you knock me out of the running?" Oh my
'Cause he-
god!
What the
Because he knew it
I
was
need a
automatic-
win now and
because he
again.
knew it
That's
was
all I
automatically gonna
need.
be you.
Yeah. Not. You
You were
just
the
wait. till we-
shoe-in. He had to
Just
take the
wait till
shoe-in.
we're done with the show, and you and I are going to have a little chat here. But anyway, Hyper Crush Games wanted to know if Grumpy had a specific class spell that you were interested in.
Yes, I mentioned it earlier. It was the Paladin spell called Fiery Aegis. And that was so far what I'm really looking forward to trying out. I want to see if it really looks like fire kind of blasting out. I really want to try that.
Cool. That was about it. Nice and quiet.
Brilliant.
I will say, Grumpy, thank you so much for just hopping in here because unfortunately something held MonsterKoala up and wasn't able to make it. And we're usually used to technical difficulties holding us up.
Mm-hmm. I'm an IT guy.
And-
I'm kind of used to that.
Yeah, every now and then we try to start on time when we can. So thank you for just quickly jumping in.
Yeah,
my
it
pleasure. I
really
was
has
just in the
been great.
stream.
Yeah.
I'm actually not a streamer. I don't have a channel or that. Not really what I do. I just kind of I like to talk to people. I like to have conversations and tell stories.
Right.
And like my my MMO roots and my D&D roots. This felt to me like sitting in a pub. Spinning tales with old friends about to have an adventure and face the dragon down.
Well-
So I look forward to seeing you guys in Terminus.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like
Oh,
a lot of people have mistaken these player Q&A shows as promotionals, trying to promote people that stream and those. It's not really that at all. It's about knowing the people that you're going to be sharing this game with.
Yes.
You don't need to be a streamer. You don't need to be doing a podcast. You don't need to be running a fan site. If you want to be on a player Q&A, let us know.
Yeah.
We would love to get to know people.
Yeah, totally.
It's about being
And
accessible.
And I just wanted to mention, Grumpy, that it's really nice having you on here. I mean, I see you in the chat all the time, and it was just a pleasure getting to know you a bit better.
Oh, absolutely. I saw you guys were on. I was actually just getting off of work for the day, and I'm like, hey, let me tell my kids to chill out for a little bit. We'll play some video games a little later. Dad's got to take a work call, So they left me alone for a little bit. I'm like, yeah.
Daddy's busy. Go back to your cage.
Right. Get in there, little uns. Grumpy's going to be talking to people all weird like now.
Brilliant. Anyway, so I'm going to round this up and say thank you all to everyone for listening. I think we all had a blast in this one. Thank you, Grumpy. Thank you, Lexa. And thank you, Shy, for being here. And we will catch everyone next week. Say goodbye.
Have a fantastic weekend.
See you around the hearth fire.